Family First Life, and thank you, Sean, for having us on the TNL today. This is one of my favorite calls every single week. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Alexander Straight, Vice President of FFL Fire, and I am fired up to be on the TNL today. And our host, our guest today that we have on the call, you guys are going to absolutely love her. If you don't know her already, by the end of this, you guys are going to just be blown away by how amazing she is. But she is on track to be FFL's next Hall of Fame producer in her first full year of doing FFL, the calendar year 2020. And it is Miss Genevieve Okoro. So, Genevieve, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
It's a great opportunity. It's an honor to even be asked to be on here. So.
Of course, yeah. I know we watch these calls every single week, as all top producers do. So, when you got asked to be on the TNL, how did that kind of make you feel?
It's just an honor to be here because I see top producers on here week in and week out. So, I don't ever really expect to be asked to do stuff like this. So when I am, I'm just honored. So it's great to be here at Family First Life in general. So to be on one of these types of things, it's amazing.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, definitely appreciate you having, you being on here today. You do so much for the FFL community with how active you are in the Facebook groups, both, Facebook groups and publicly. And you're definitely one of the faces of one of the growing rising stars of Family First Life. So we're very excited to have you on the call today. But obviously, as anyone who is in Family First Life, no one was just born out of the womb speaking insurance and slinging mortgage protection, right? So talk to us just a little bit about kind of your background and your story of how you got to Family First Life, your journey getting here, because I know that you didn't, you weren't in kindergarten saying, I want to sell insurance. So tell us a little bit about your background and what got you into Family First Life today.
Okay. I'm 28 years old. I'm first generation Nigerian. I'm from New Jersey, originally from New Jersey. I got down to Virginia because I played Division I basketball, had a bunch of scholarship options, and I wanted to go to the University of Richmond and play basketball, not only because of the athletics, but mainly because of the academics. So my goal was always to go to medical school. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon my whole life. That was the goal, be a surgeon. And I didn't get into medical school right away, right after I graduated from college. So I was taking the steps that I needed to take, that I knew I needed to take to get there. So I was working with a lot of orthopedic spine surgeons, shoulder, knees, a lot of emergency room physicians, NPs, PAs, all of that. And I saw over the years a lot in the medical field and a lot of it that I didn't like. I love science. I love medicine. I love all of it. I love helping people and, having an effect and impact, a positive impact on people's lives. But there were things that I saw that I didn't really like. Some of which, the fact that a lot of the physicians and everyone, a lot of the people that I worked with were really unhappy. I lost count of the times that I heard physicians say, I'm probably going to die in debt. And I'm a big research person. I don't really care what other people are talking about, but I do research. So after not only experiencing what it is that I experienced and seeing things with my own eyes, seeing that a lot of physicians don't really have autonomy over their own practices like I thought that they did. Insurance companies run the world, which is perfectly okay with me. They don't have autonomy over their own practices like they used to. The amount of student loans that they're in, there was a lot that I saw, and over time I was like, maybe I don't want to take on $300,000 worth of student loan debt with compounding interest. Maybe I don't want to be in school for another 10 to 12 years and attempt to, one day start a family in the midst of that. Maybe I I don't want to have to, finish school making 50 grand a year, where everybody that I went to school with who went to business school or started their own business or, I don't know, did insurance, they're making six figures, and I'm at 50 grand a year. And now it's going to take me until my late 40s, early 50s to even get to the start of that. And leave my family in the middle of the night to take care of other people's families, So I said to myself, there has to be another way. I don't want to do this, which was hard for me because this was what I wanted to do my whole life. My whole life, that's what I wanted to do. I said, there has to be something else because this is going to make me unhappy. And I'm not working a full-time, part-time PRN job just to, be unhappy with what it is that I'm doing. So I was looking at everything and anything else, pharmaceutical sales, just anything else. And it's strange how I heard about Family First Life. I was in Dallas visiting one of my cousins, and I was only there for a whole of 72 hours. And my plane was taking off. I was headed back to Virginia, and I was on a dating app, and I matched with this guy who, ultimately we were just talking about business goals, aspirations. That's just the kind of person that I am. And he ultimately told me about Family First Life. I saw screenshots of the kind of numbers that people were putting up. None of those numbers made any sense to me. I was like, that's not any kind of money that anybody's making, so that doesn't make any sense. Saw some commission checks. I was like, okay. And then I really started to do, again, I'm a research person. So did a whole bunch of research, but the Glassdoor reviews, beyond like the videos that I saw, the Glassdoor reviews got me. And one review, and I mentioned this before, but I will never forget that review that I read, in the 4.5 to 5-star reviews, pages and pages and pages of them. One of them, guy said, I'm 23 years old. I've been with Family First Life going on 2 years now, and I'm on track to make 280, a little over 280 net, my second year in a row. I was like, what in the world is going on here? It's like, how is this possible? Like, I'm working, so hard right now. So hard to, a full-time job, a part-time job at the same time, a PRN job, whenever I could fit that in, trying to also study for the MCAT, all these things at the same time. And this guy over here, he had also said that he, graduated from high school and, never went to college. And I'm like, oh my God, my degree alone costs $280,000 a year in just tuition. Like, I mean, and who cares? Like, whatever. But like what I'm like killing myself to do this amount of money. And this is what, this guy's doing. Like, where's the test? Where's the test? Like, I can do this, I can follow instructions. Like, I'm a, relatively personable person. And, like, I've been searching for something like this where I can finally have the kind of impact on people that I've been looking to have. Like, here it is. It was just like dropped on me because I just so happened to be on a freaking, dating app. Oh my God. So.
Okay, Jen, I got to cut you off there. We have to know, what was the dating app?
Am I allowed to say?
Yes, go ahead and say it.
It was Tinder.
Tinder. Okay, guys. So the secret to recruiting Hall of Fame producers is to swipe on Tinder, just so you guys know. So, okay. How to get that in there, because it just goes to show, though, that there are people out there every single day looking for opportunities like this. Whether people don't walk around with signs stapled to their forehead saying, show me a better opportunity, but most people, not everyone, but most people are unhappy with their work. And I don't know the exact statistics behind it, but a lot of people just get so used to doing what they think they have to do because that's all that they know. And that's similar to what it sounds like a lot of the physicians that you worked with, a lot of the people that you met, where that was just their plan. And they said, yep, that's just what you got to do. You got to go get $300,000 in student loans. You got to have debt till the day you die. Just another bill I'm always going to have. And that's just the way it is, because that's what I want to do. And that's all I know. And it just goes to show you that from a recruiting standpoint, first off, obviously you don't have to recruit an FFL, but which is a beautiful thing about it. But if you choose to build an agency, opportunity is everywhere, right? Whether it's the restaurant worker, the Uber driver, the med student who is scared to commit to $300,000 of student loans, or your Tinder date. It doesn't matter that anywhere you go that there could be someone looking for this. And the best way, in my opinion, and maybe you could kind of talk a little bit about this, is the best way to embody and show that FFL opportunity is real and to gain confidence to talk to people is by doing the actual work itself. So like you said, you saw the Glassdoor reviews, glassdoor.com, search Family First Life, literally pages and pages of reviews. That's a huge credibility tool. TNL calls like this with lots of people watching live, huge credibility tool to show that this opportunity is real. So what was the tipping point for you? Because obviously like you saw accumulation of things, but what was the major tipping point for you when you realized that this thing was actually, that this opportunity, not this thing, but this opportunity was real and that you could do it? Like, who did you see? What did you see that made you realize if they're doing it, I can do this too, and I'm going to? What was that tipping point and commitment?
Well, honestly, like I said, reading that Glassdoor review in and of itself, that did it for me. Now, at the time when I called him up so fast, I was like, what do I need to do? I just got to take a test. Okay, I'll take the test. Where do I need to sign up for it? It was like that was nothing to me, because the test, well, I don't know, $100, $50, like $80, whatever it was. It's like nothing in comparison to what it was that I envisioned myself being able to do. And I was, in the midst of closing on my house. So I was going to have to start part-time anyway, so that I could, make sure that I closed on my house and everything like that. So I said, okay, I'm going to transition out of my full-time job. I'm still going to continue to do this part-time. I'm going to transition out of my full-time job and, make this my thing, So in the midst of doing that, starting part-time, that made it just very, very simple.
Yeah. So you did start off part-time. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's talk about that, because, people that are just hearing you today, we'll get into your numbers later, but, the last 2 months issue paid, you've done just shy of $60,000 each month personally, which is amazing, but you didn't start off that way. You started off part-time, just like probably 95% of agents at FFL do. So what was the actual first month that you submitted a policy with Family First Life?
September of 2019.
September 2019. Okay. And then at what point did you realize that you could go full-time and you chose to go full-time?
I realized that I could go full-time September of 2019, but I knew I couldn't go full-time. The company that I used to work for, great company. I just, in terms of personal growth and personal development, in the midst of me, thinking that I was going to go to medical school, I didn't like necessarily what the next levels were going to be like. Like in terms of lifestyle and even funds and things like that, because like I knew what it was that I was going to put into it, because I don't do things halfway. I knew what it was that I was going to put into it, and I saw what it was that I was going to get out of it, and I knew what it was going to take to do things the way that I do them, which is I do things 100% all of the time. And I was like, no. So, transitioning out of that, I wasn't going to just give my 2 weeks and be like, okay, bye. So transition out of that. But in working part-time, I was working a lot of evenings and on the weekends. And I remember one of the first weekends that I was working, I made, I did a little over 3,000 in AP in one home. And I was like, usually it takes me a good month to do this.
To make that kind of money. Yeah.
And then, I think a couple of weeks later, it was a Saturday, and I did over 6,000 in a day. And I was like, just like blown away. I was like, how
is this even real?
I'm like, then hit my bank account. Those numbers are real, So you can say whatever it is that you want. You can't fake those numbers. So I knew that this was what it is that I wanted to do. I knew that this was what it is I wanted to do full time, because when you're doing part time, what it is that you do in a month to 2 months plus full time, there's no confusion about what it is, what the next steps are. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't completely screwing over the company, from which I came, because they treated me well. They were really nice to me.
You had integrity, which is ironic now, but you had integrity for the company and want to be respectful. So September 2019, first policy submitted. when was the time, respectfully, that you decided to go full-time and officially not work for the company? How long did it take you to officially do that?
I went full time towards the end of December 2019. So
Okay.
my first full time month was January of 2020.
Okay, so about 90 days, September, well, 120 days, September, October, November, December, with the plan going into the new year that you're going to be full-time.
Yep.
So to any part-time agents that are listening to this, watching this, or if someone is watching this considering joining Family First Life, people think that, they see all these meteoric numbers and you can't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10, right? Because everyone starts off at the same point. And it's one of those things that if you're committed and you have goals like you are, you're obviously very disciplined to be doing the kind of numbers you are, between the schooling you've done and the working 3, 4, 5 jobs, internships at a time, like, goes to show that people with big goals and aspirations who can commit and stick to a schedule. You said evenings and weekends. So around your work, you found the time to make this happen.
Oh yeah. So when I saw the numbers, I watched the Rogue IMO video just like everybody else. I watched that video back to back because I was like, this can't be real. I need to go review what those numbers were one more time. I was doing all kinds of math, like,
Trying to
okay,
poke the holes in the argument.
if I can do this amount of appointments, and I was so excited. I mean, I saw that and I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I did what it is I needed to do to pass the test, which, working a full-time job, very involved job that I had 5 offices that I was, in charge of in all different parts of Virginia, and a lot of hours that I worked. And I was also working part-time in the emergency room. I worked, every Friday and Saturday, either from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. or later, because, you have to finish, or from 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. And like, I just didn't care. I was like, this
Literally,
is going
no
to,
excuses.
there's no excuses. It doesn't matter. This is going to revolutionize my life. I don't care what I have to do.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
And for you, your journey, even with that crazy schedule, working some evening shifts, working some day shifts, sounds like you're working well over 40 hours.
Oh yeah.
Well over. You still found the time to buy the leads, make the dials, run the appointments. Were you as good day one as you are now?
No.
Nope.
No,
Right?
no,
But
not close.
Stayed coachable, you stayed plugged in, you did the training, and your journey was 4 months before you were able to go full time. And then we'll get into your numbers that you've done so far for this year, calendar year, but it just goes to show that there is no one way to do this. It's not like Genevieve was born from a sales family selling insurance right away. She was just found her journey, made a commitment, which is a mental thing. It's like, whether you tell yourself you can or you can't, you're absolutely right. So she made a commitment to this, and it was such a high priority that even around her crazy schedule, working days and then going 6 p.m. to 3 a.m., found the gaps to make sure she got in enough appointments to make the money to realize that this is real and commit to it full time. So kudos to you just on your journey. Like, when you first joined, I didn't know who you were. Right? We did not know each other previously to FFL, right?
Right.
Cool. And honestly, we didn't even talk too much even prior to January, February. Like,
Right.
I mean, it wasn't until you were really full time and started pulling up some real good full time numbers that it was like, who is this Genevieve person? But it just goes to show that there's no one way to get to the end game, whatever your end game is, right? And to get to the kind of goals. But as long as you stay committed, those goals are possible. So let's transition a little bit into training and coaching, because like everything that you learned about insurance, did you learn it all yourself or did you learn it from other people?
Every single thing that I know that I do is all plagiarism. It's all
Plagiarism.
from everybody else who has already done it at a much higher level than I'm even currently doing it at.
Yeah. And it's copy and paste. We live in a society nowadays that is, in my opinion, a copy and paste society. I got my 4-year degree as well, and I'm just a professional Google searcher. That's how I got my 4-year degree, right? Copy and paste. And it's the same thing in the insurance world. Find people who have what you want and copy and paste exactly what they do. And the nice thing about FFL is all the training is free. So it's available. So right now, off the top of your head, what are the 3 videos, podcasts, etc.? Like, where would you have to go and what would you have to search to find the top 3 training resources that you learned from the beginning? Is it YouTube? Was it podcasts? Like, what are the top 3 right now off the top of your head that you plugged into the most in the beginning that someone listening to this can pull out their phone and take notes or write down real quick to go listen to later?
Podcasts, Inside the Sale in particular, and
Any particular episodes?
Of Inside the Sale.
Like anyone right now, top of your head, which is the one that stands out the most?
Rob Richmond, his critical period coverage. That was really big for me.
Okay. So Rob Richmond, Inside the Sale, critical period coverage.
Yep.
Okay.
And Matt Smith did one more recently about mortgage protection and final expense.
YouTube or Inside the Sale?
It was Inside the Sale.
Inside the Sale. Okay.
And Jonathan Porcina did one on both TNL and also Inside the Sale.
That's one of my favorites.
I mean, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That one, it's like an hour long, but I have listened to that.
My
Personally,
God.
I've listened to that at least 8 times. But I mean, like, Jonathan Porcina was the #1 producer in Family First Life. So he did over 750,000 personally. So if there's someone to learn from, probably want to learn from someone who makes $750,000 on their own pen.
God.
So that one is a very good one. Okay, so those are 3 right now that anyone listening, if you're not currently using, I like to call it YouTube University, but in this case, it's Inside the Sale University, where if you're not using your driving time or your time at the gym or your time while you're cooking dinner, if you're not consuming the content, like I'm assuming when you were part-time, you weren't just like, screwing around. You were making sure to stay plugged in and listen to a lot of content.
Before I had my license, before I had my insurance license, I was listening to those podcasts. That's all that I listened to. I love music. I'm a music person, but I was like, I mean, this stuff fascinates me because like there was never, this opportunity was not a thing that existed. Like I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. Like I wanted to live that life. I wanted all of that stuff, but this was right here in front of my face. What else is more important? What else is more important?
Literally just a decision to plug in. And some people do it and some people don't. So,
yeah,
okay.
I was listening to the podcast and everything like that before I even had my license.
It's not rocket science.
Nope.
It's I like to say when someone calls me and said, "Hey, I just had a lead who said I'm not interested." What do I say to that? And I'm like, we got training on that. We got training on
all
that.
day.
So
yeah,
anything that anyone can say, there's
Doesn't
already
matter.
a training on. So, okay, perfect. So, speaking of training, you've put up some pretty impressive numbers, especially more recently. You went full-time at the beginning of this year, and the last 2 months, you've done over 50,000 issue paid on your personal pen in the last 2 months, which means over the last 2 months, that's over 100,000, which is very impressive. And again, you didn't even know this a year ago. This didn't even exist a year ago, which is incredible just to show that what it's like when you're coachable and you do training. So
anybody can do this.
Anyone can do this. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about, so in my opinion, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think this FFL breaks down to 3 major categories: leads, phones, and the sales. Does that kind of sum it up to you as well?
Yep.
From a sales, okay, cool.
And work ethic.
Work ethic, good. So let's focus on each one of those 3 categories and talk a little bit about them. So whether someone's an experienced agent trying to take it to the next level like you have, or a brand new agent, let's talk a little bit about each 3. So leads, let's talk about your lead flow. We work off of a lead-based business with Family First Life, which means we have people that at some point, whether it's freshly generated or it was sometime in the last year, requested exactly what we sell. They're not requesting Walmart gift cards. They're not requesting child safety kits 4 years ago.
Nope.
Or health discount cards or something. They are actually requesting mortgage protection, final expense insurance, life insurance quotes, usually one of those 3. So talk to me a little bit about your lead flow in the beginning when you were part-time, because there's a lot of part-time agents trying to figure out their lead flow, and how you've increased it to transition to full-time and how that's helped increase your income. So first things first, in terms of leads, when you first started, what kind of leads were you working?
When I first started, I was using just solely leads out of the CRM for the most part. I was never afraid to purchase large amounts of leads. But in terms of diversification of leads, I didn't really have too much of a diversified lead flow and not a consistent lead flow. So, I mean, because I would say regardless of where you get your leads or what have you, regardless of where you get your leads from, whether it's the CRM, whatever it is, you might have to put a little bit more time, a little bit more effort into getting your appointments booked, but you can still make the stuff happen. And that's evident based on all the numbers that everybody puts up. But in the beginning, it was mostly CRM leads, but it was just not consistent at all.
What does that mean? What is not consistent? Is that once a month, once every other week?
It was once every other week. And then
how many?
I wasn't.
How many leads?
How many leads? I would say on a weekly basis, I would get maybe 50 leads, maybe a little bit more than that.
50 to 60 leads every other week out of the CRM. And how much does that cost you?
50 to 60 leads, just
We're
depending.
getting like $3 ones, $1.50, somewhere between $1.50 and $7 each.
Yeah,
right?
each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
max was about $400 worth, and then minimum could have been like $100.
yes.
So your lead flow, is this because you were scared to invest the money in leads?
No,
What was the issue?
I wasn't scared to invest the money. It was more so because like my first lead purchase was about $2,000. I got my credit card out real fast. Not confused, not scared at all, but it just I wasn't consistent with it. And then there would be some times that I would get leads, and it sounds stupid, but I just wouldn't call them. So I was hesitant to call people. I would call them, but as far as consistent dial time and things like that, it was kind of all over the place.
Cool.
So
like most people in the beginning, it's
yeah.
not uncommon. Obviously, you got to refine that to go full time, and we'll get into your full time schedule. So in the beginning, lead flow, big first lead purchase because you're an adult and you pull out your credit card and you invest in yourself like adults do. And all the
I
training
just saw
was right
what the
there.
return was going to be, and I knew I could make
When
it
people
happen.
come to me and they're like, Alex, I'm so excited. I'm ready for my first lead purchase. I'm like, awesome. What's the budget? $100. I'm like, okay, so you're not ready for your first lead purchase. It just, I get that it could be scary. If you've never bought leads before, it could be scary, and I get that. But like Genevieve was saying, all the training that we can ever want is already out there. It's just a matter of you plugging into it, and you're only going to get so good listening to training videos. Like Sean always talks about the training that he does with people is he throws a list in front of them and says, tell them you're coming over. And well, what do I say? Just, tell them you're coming over. Like, this is Martha, right? All right, awesome. I'm going to be coming over to get you your insurance. Like, that's the training that he gave them. And obviously now we've got over hundreds of hours of content and training videos, but at some point you just got to do the work.
Right.
So you're never going to be
complicated.
perfect. Yeah, you're never going to be perfect, especially day one. It's the worst you're ever. I like to say the worst you're ever going to be at insurance is today, which is really reassuring because that means you're going to be better tomorrow. But if you don't do any work, you don't get any leads, you don't do any dials, you're going to be just as bad tomorrow as you were today. And you got to ask yourself, if I do what I did today, every day for 365 days, am I going to be in the same position or am I going to be progressing in life? And so some people look at these huge, massive goals and fail to break it down into day-by-day activity. So speaking of day-by-day activity, let's talk a little bit about your current lead flow and then your dial structure, because obviously I know we've talked outside of this training about your dial structure a little bit, but I want you to definitely share that. So transitioning from inconsistent lead flow, inconsistent dialing, part-time, still did just enough to realize this was legit, into full-time. What's your current lead flow like? How much are you spending per week? What's your ROI on that? Like, for the numbers people in here who are still thinking this is too good to be true, and why should I spend that much on leads? Let's get right into it.
Okay.
Like the last month, for example. Let's look at the last month.
Okay.
How much did you issue pay last month?
I issued 57.
57,000 on your own pen.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and how much did you spend on leads total for the month? And let's break it down to what your lead flow looked like.
Probably about 8,000 to 9,000.
8,000 to 9,000. So you issue paid 57,000 with the 75% advance. I'm not the best at math, but that's around 40 to 45K in your account minus the 8,000. It's still over $1,000 a day net hitting your account.
Insane.
All right. It sounds crazy to say it, but it happened. So for people who are scared to spend more money on leads, more money spent on leads, more money you make. So talk to us a little bit about what your lead structure looks like right now.
Okay, so I have a lot of counties locked out as far as mailers go. I have final expense mailers and mortgage protection mailers, and I even have some of the annuity mailers locked out too. But my main flow is my final expense and mortgage protection. So mortgage protection for me includes new mortgage protection. It includes ARM mail drops, and also includes the retro Mail Pro Retro buy per lead mailers as well. And then I also like to mix things in just depending on how many leads that I have coming in the mail. So you can have anywhere from 30 to 40 leads that might come in a week's time because, like I said, I have a lot of counties locked out.
Good.
So I have a lot of leads coming in.
That's good.
And then so just depending on what that looks like, then I'll supplement that with always out of the CRM, especially, I mean, you got these sales coming.
Sales,
oh my
yeah.
God, it's amazing.
But here's the thing, even if there's not a sale, the CRM is such a steal.
Yep.
Like, I mean, how many times do you see people 4,000 AP off $1.50 lead? Like,
Absolutely.
It happens all the time.
Happens to me all the time.
Yes, it does.
All
yes.
the time. So yeah, I always supplement with the CRM because, I mean, if there are leads in the area where I'm going to be, why would I not take them?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. And then I'll also get the Facebook final expense leads. So Game Time Pro, Happy Agent Pro, those are two of my favorite lead
So
choices.
8,000 over the course of a month averages to about 2,000 a week. And with that 2,000, on average, you're writing 14 to 15,000 IP per week to do 57 at the end of the month.
Yep.
So it just goes, but if you had only spent 1,000 in leads, you wouldn't have as many opportunities to win, and you'd still be profitable, but the profit would be less.
Which was what I feel like I was more so experiencing before I talked to people like yourself, Jordan, Ashley Grady, like, because back in March, you know, I issued like 19 something. I would like that just, I mean, I know that it's not those aren't the worst numbers in the world or whatever, but like, I always expect more out of myself. If I know what the opportunity is, I see what it is that other people are doing. And I know that at the end of the day, like, even like with me, there is no special formula to this. All that this is working, being willing to work hard, being willing to sit there and book appointments, and then being willing to go see the people that you booked appointments with.
Cool.
Like, not hard.
Let's focus on that second one, booking appointments. Let's transition into dialing. So obviously you're very structured the way you do things. Talk to us a little bit about your dial structure. Like, is it always Monday, Thursday, or do you sometimes have to adjust that?
Sometimes I have to adjust that just based, if I have to travel
sorry
somewhere.
to cut you off, but let's talk about protecting your dial time. So I think that the biggest difference between someone in their first 90 days versus someone who makes it to months 10, 11, and 12 is they figure out how to protect their dial time. Because if they don't protect their dial time, they're not going to make enough money to make it in this business.
Right.
So if there's one thing with dialing that matters, we have the leads. Eventually enough people are just going to tell you to come on over if you do enough dials. But if you're not protecting your dial time, you're not doing enough dials. So what does protect your dial time mean to you? And what does your structure look like because of that?
To me, it means that having that dial time is not negotiable. The reason that it's non-negotiable is because if I don't protect my dial time, then how am I going to book appointments? I feel very uncomfortable if I don't have 16 to 20 appointments on my schedule for the following 2 days after my dial day.
But Genevieve, I have to take my car in.
Okay, do that another day. Or do that outside of the time frame that you're dialing. Like, we're independent contractors. You know, anyone who's doing this full time at the very least, we get to make our own schedule. So why are you going to book your car whatever issues on the day that you're supposed to be essentially making money? Because if you don't have appointments, you can't make money.
My kids have soccer practice, Genevieve. I can't be dialing them.
Okay, well, they got teammates, right? Tell someone else's Sally's mom to go pick up the kids for soccer.
But Genevieve, I work a bartending shift. I don't get off till like midnight. How am I supposed to be up dialing by 8 a.m.? It's too early.
Did you just say that you had 8 hours to go to sleep? Okay.
I just want you. The reason I say that is because so many people, you hear the dumbest excuses, and protect your dial time means protect your dial time.
Yeah,
Like,
I can't even hear those things.
Literally.
You know, if you want this. If this is important to you, like it's important to me, with the things that I have envisioned to do for my own family, for other people's families, like all those things, I cannot hear any of them. Just can't hear it.
All right, Genevieve, I hear you. But because of the way my schedule is, you know, I get home at like 11 o'clock at night, and I got the kids' school in the morning, so I'm not going to start dialing until like 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And
well, the way that my bank account is set up is that I I need to be on the phones, you know, by like 7:30, at least 8 o'clock.
Cool.
So I don't care what it is that you got to do. If you have a husband, if you have a wife, like they should be on board, considering the kind of money that you are going to be bringing in. If you actually take this seriously, talk to your husband, talk to your wife. Like, they should be your partner in crime as far as this goes anyway. Okay, so I mean, to me, all of that stuff with the family and it's communication and it's structure. If you want this, you will find a way to get it.
Okay.
Period. End of story. I just
agree.
can't hear that stuff.
Now, for part-time agents, right? Like part-time agents, if you do work during the day, understandable that you're only dialing evenings. But what protect your dial time means, at least to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is if you know that you can't get on the phones at 8 a.m. due to your schedule, but you're working FFL to try to get out of that schedule, or you know you're only part-time, if you tell yourself your dial time is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. when you get home from work, you work 9 to 5, that means that you're not dialing at 6:01. It means your first time you're hitting the green button is at 5:59, so you're on the phone with someone by 6 p.m. Is that how you feel as well?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I mean, I worked. I specifically made it so, and that I was able to do it, but I worked from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. at my full-time job so that I could have time to dial the phones and run appointments 2 to 3 hours away. And for me, this was during the weekdays. I only had, if being that I had to drive as far as I was driving to book the appointments that I booked, I only had like 2 or 3 appointments on the books for those days. So I mean, I got no showed and like all kinds of things all the time. I wasn't very good in the beginning. Like, somebody told me that they wanted to think of me. I said, okay, call me. All kinds of stupid stuff. But like, it's you make time for the things that you want to make time for, and everybody knows that.
So Genevieve, dialing though is just so boring.
Yeah.
Like what do you do to make it like so it's not as boring? How do you track your dials? Like I just don't want to sit there all day, Genevieve.
Oh man. Okay. Well, a dial tracker is definitely helpful so that you can, track your dials and stuff like that. But like, if you want this, like you will go get it. Like
agree,
to hear, like if somebody
what kind of numbers does your dial tracker look like at the end of the day? Dialed, reached, book at the end of a typical dial day. What does your numbers look like?
So, it's always going to depend on the kinds of leads that you have if I'm being honest. But anywhere from 250 to 330 dials, 40 to 50 people that I reached, and sometimes I'll keep track of how many people like have hung up on me and everything like that, just so that when I look over at the number of appointments that I had, I'm like, well, it all worked out.
So let's say 300 to average it out. 300 dials, reach 40 to 50. So let's go low end 40 because it does happen. You have those streaks where 20 dials in a row no one picks up.
Yeah.
Dial 300, reach 40. How many are you booking? What's your booking rate?
I'd say I should have 18, at least 16 on the books.
Okay, so like a 50% booking rate. So
Yeah.
you're not like, oh, so Genevieve, you mean every person you talk to, you don't book?
Yeah, that's
So you're not like
correct.
some magic guru. It's just a numbers game.
This is all a numbers game. If you have enough
okay.
leads, if you dial the phone enough times, and I mean, you're going to talk to enough people, and enough of them are going to say yes.
So if someone is spending $200 on CRM leads and they do 70 dials, reach 5, book 2, those numbers are literally exactly like yours if they just 5x'd it, right? If they spent $1,000 in leads, did 300 dials, they'd book 20.
Right.
All going off those same. Okay.
There is no
Interesting.
magic formula to this.
Fascinating.
And then on top of that, if you join any of the number of live Zoom dials, like live Zoom dials that happen typically every Monday and Thursday, you're going to see people like myself who get hung up on all the time. I get cussed out, hung up on all. I mean, it happens to all of us, but we're all there doing the same thing, doing the same activity day in and day out.
So the difference between 1 policy a week and 3 policies a day is just more leads and more dials.
That's correct.
Cool. Speaking of dials, let's go into phone script.
Okay.
Let's do one for final expense, and then let's do a CRM lead because a lot of people sometimes smaller budgets in the beginning because they're on a tight budget. So sometimes there's these age leads, and not every dial. Like how many people that you book do you get 0 objections? I know for me, 1 in 5 have 0 objections. 4 out of 5 typically have some sort of objection.
Yeah, some
Cool.
kind of objection.
So let's do a phone script. Book me as a mortgage, and I'm going to throw an objection at you in the process, in the flow. I'm not going to tell you when because you never know.
You said a mortgage lead?
Let's do a mortgage lead. Let's pretend that I'm an aged mortgage lead
Okay.
off the CRM, and I cost $1.50.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The phone's ringing.
Hello.
Alex?
Yeah, who's this?
Alex, this is Jen. I'm calling from the Mortgage Protection Center here in Richmond. I'm getting back to you about the form you filled out by hand and mailed back about mortgage protection. Do you remember doing that?
No, I think we already got that taken care of.
That's perfect. So I am a senior broker. I'm the one who does the audits for these. So if I'm calling you and your form has reached my desk, it means that either you never got the information that you had requested in the first place, or you have some very outdated plan. So I'm just required to make sure that you have the information that you requested and you know what it is that you can possibly qualify for.
We had someone over like, I think 6 months ago or so, like about 6 months ago, I think we had someone come over.
Yep, that's perfect. Like I said, I'm a senior broker. That means that I'm not an agent, okay? I don't work for just one company. I work for all the major carriers in the state of Virginia. So I'm supposed to make sure that you know all of what it is that you can qualify for, okay? So, but you put down that your date of birth is 5/10/1991, and your wife's date of birth is 5/11/1991, and you guys are here at 777 Success Way here in Richmond. Is all that still accurate?
Yeah, that's still accurate, but I'm at work. Can you call me when I get off work?
Yeah, what time do you typically get off work?
I'm usually like off at like 5:30.
Okay, is it the same thing for your wife?
Yeah, we both work 9 to 5 during the day.
All right, so is that going to be the same thing tomorrow? You guys are going to be off around that time tomorrow?
Yeah, Monday through Friday, yep.
Okay, and so there's no reason that you can think of that you wouldn't be home at least by, 6:30 tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we'll be home, but can you just like give me a call first?
So yeah, I'm going to be seeing everybody in your area. So what I'm going to do is come by around between 6:30 to make sure that you have all of the accurate information and you know what it is that you can possibly qualify for, like I said. So I'll be by between 6 and 6:30. I want to make sure that you have my Virginia state license number. That way you know it's me and not a crazy person. Just get a pen. Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, well, I'm at work right now. Can you just text it to me?
I can't text it to you, but I definitely will be there tomorrow between 6 and 6:30. You'll definitely be there, you and your wife, correct?
Yeah, we'll definitely be home by that time.
All right, I'll see you then.
Awesome. So that was like 3 or 4 objections.
Hey, whatever.
Surprise. But guess what? That happens, especially on those age leads. You get
Yeah.
those objections. So one thing I noticed on those objections, perfect. I think you said the word perfect 3 or 4 times. You agreed with them right away. Like, no big deal. It's exactly why I'm calling. And then you went right into how you're a senior broker. You work for all the companies. I'm doing audits. Usually you have a plan that means it's outdated. As someone who already sat with someone, if I heard my plan was outdated, I'd be like, oh, snap. Like, I haven't even thought about that, but that makes sense. That's why she's calling me. Okay. So that was really good. That was smooth. How often do you get objections like that?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Cool. And the show ratio on those, what's your typical show rate for that?
If I go through all that stuff that I just said, they'll be there.
Yeah, because you know exactly when they get home, because you know their exact work schedule, and you cleared the calendar.
Yep.
So you don't just say, all right, I'm going to be in your area tomorrow at 10. You found out first my schedule, and then you obviously check your calendar at the same time, and then you made sure to find the time that you know that you could be there, and they're going to be there as well. So even if they forget, you know they're going to be home.
That's right.
Cool. Awesome. That makes sense. All right, let's do a new final expense. A lot of people work the Facebook final expense. Let's book a Facebook final expense lead.
Okay, phone's ringing.
Hello?
Alex?
Yeah, who's this?
Alex, this is Jen. I'm calling from the Senior Benefits Center here in Richmond. I'm getting back to you about the form you filled out online requesting information on final expense coverage, one where you put your favorite hobbies fishing. Do you remember doing that?
No, but I like fishing, so go ahead.
All right, perfect. So you also put down that your date of birth is 5/11/1965. That's still accurate?
Yep, that's right.
All right, and that you're here at 777 Success Way here in Richmond. That's still accurate as well?
Yes.
All right, so again, my name is Jen, short for Genevieve Okoro. I'm the local field underwriter and broker assigned to your case, so I'm the one who's required to make sure that you know what it is that you can possibly qualify for. Okay, so just like it said on the form, there's no physical exam. Okay, no blood work, no urine, no needles, nothing like that. I just got to make sure that you are who you say you are. You're not strapped to a hospital bed or on oxygen full time, and you do need to see my state license as well. Okay.
Does this cost money?
I'm sorry?
Does this cost money?
Yep, I'm going to make sure that you have the most affordable plan for you. Are you still working, disabled, or retired?
No, I'm on a fixed income.
All right, perfect. And tomorrow, do you have any doctor's appointments scheduled?
Yeah, I got one at 10.
Okay, and so any reason that you can think of that you would not be home between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning?
I don't usually get up until like right before my doctor's appointment, like 9
Okay.
a.m.
All right, you don't get up until 9. All right. So, and you said that your doctor's appointment is at 10.
Yep.
When do you anticipate that it's going to be done?
Usually done by lunchtime.
Okay. All right. I don't have anything at noon. Any reason you can think of that you wouldn't be home between 1 and 2?
No, I'll be home by then.
Okay. And will it just be you, or do you have a spouse or a partner that'll be going over things with us?
Just me. My wife passed away.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. All right, well, I'm going to put you down for between 1 and 2. I'm also going to make sure that you have my Virginia state license number. That way you know that it's me and not a crazy person. So just let me know when you have a pen. I'm going to give you all my info.
Oh, okay. 1 second.
Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, perfect. So again, my name is Genevieve, last name spelled Okoro. Okay? And we said tomorrow, which is 1 and 2, the 19th, okay, June 19th. And I am really, really tall, so you're going to know it's me. I'm like 6'4" in the heels that I usually wear, okay? So you'll know it's me. But my state license number is the important part. So 113 4167.
Got it.
Can you read that back to me?
113-4168.
No, 113
Oh.
4167.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, my hearing aids weren't in.
Can you read that back to me, please?
113-4167.
Okay, perfect. All right. And do I need to press any buttons or gate codes, or can I just knock on 777 Success Way?
You should be able to pull right up.
Okay, perfect. And there are no big dogs that are going to try to come get me, right?
No.
All right, perfect. And it sounds like you're pretty good about keeping your appointment. So I'm not going to be standing outside sweating, like wondering where you are, right?
No. I'll be right inside on the couch. Just ring the doorbell. I'll hear it.
Okay, awesome, perfect. Well, I look forward to meeting you and helping you, and I'll see you tomorrow between 1 and 2.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen.
Have a great day.
Awesome. So you took back control, made sure I got the pen. When I read it incorrectly, you made sure I did it again. So no-show rate on that. What's your typical no-show rate when you have that much control?
When I go through all that stuff, and I usually will go through all that stuff, they're there. Okay. I would say about 80% of the time they're going to be home.
Good. Okay, so that's a way to reduce no-show rates, is all that cementing at the end, making sure they know exactly who you are, what you're going to look like, your state license number, confirming the house. They can visualize you sweating outside. If they're not there, they're going to feel guilty about it. So they're going to make sure they're there. So,
right. And
awesome.
in the beginning, I was not doing all of that. And, I was getting a ton of no-shows, back in January, February, and, went through more of the training. And Paul McLean says, hey, if you have all these no-shows, then it means that something's wrong with your phone script. So you need to go back and do that. So you get tired of no-shows when you're trying to spend all this time and, effort doing this stuff. Good. You've got to change what's wrong.
Awesome. Cool. So as we get into the last 10 minutes here, let's go a little bit over your in-home, because obviously to sell $57,000 on your own pen in a month, you got to be doing something special in the in-home. Like there's got to be something that you do that no one else knows about, right, Jen?
There's nothing special about anything that I do. I just
what do you think is the most important part of your in-home?
The most important part of my in-home is the financial inventory by far, because it flushes everything out. Beyond that, it's painting the picture in the beginning before I do anything.
What does that mean?
Well, both of those things mean providing structure for what it is that we're going to be talking about, and making sure that they recall why it is that they filled out that lead in the first place. So as far as my in-home goes, I get in there. I am a big proponent of credibility. So after previous experiences of not having done this, I started, again, making some changes. So I have all 16 of my licenses for all my states. They're all laminated. So I bring that out. I got my driver's license. And, one of the first things I say is, this is the license number that we mentioned on the phone. I need you to take a look at that, verify that matches what it is that you have, and take a picture of that and my driver's license, please. And, people tell me, oh, we don't need to do that. And I'm like, no, yes, you need to do that. Go ahead and take a picture of it.
Why do you make them do that?
I make them do that because I'm about to ask them for their social in just a few minutes. And every single time that I ask them for their social and I'm asking them about their income and everything like that, I see them take another look at either the picture that they just took to make sure that they know who the heck it is that they're giving this info to, or they're looking at my license, and it just allows them to feel a lot more comfortable. And I'll even point out, because if you guys like look at your licenses, you'll see on there it has like the number that they can call, the website that they can call. So that's one of the first things that I do. After that, I bring out the lead. It's usually on my iPad, and I'll show it to them, and I'll say, something along the lines of, so why did you fill this out? What made you fill this out? If it's like a mortgage protection appointment, got a single dad, you got a dad with a mom that stays at home, young kids and stuff like that. I'm asking him, or asking her, so if he passes away, what do the next 30 to 90 days look like for you? And if she tells me, well, it'd be pretty hard, I'm asking more specifically. I want to know, okay, so when you say pretty hard, are you going to be able to maintain the same lifestyle that you have now? Are you going to be able to remain in this house? Like you currently don't work, so how would you be able to keep the house? They're usually going to tell me, oh, well, we wouldn't be able to keep the house. I say, okay, well, where would you go? They're going to tell me, okay, well, we would have to go here. And they're trying to stop there. And, I'll be honest, like, I'm not like, I actually don't like confrontation. People might, unbeknownst to others, I don't actually like confrontation. Like, this is hard for me. Like, I don't like to make people feel uncomfortable. But, number one, what if they die? And because I didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable, which is selfish, then now they're left unprotected. And number two, like, I'm not in here to like make friends or like play games with these people. So they need to be reminded as to how horrible their lives are suddenly going to be if they don't actually have this coverage. And that's why they did this in the first place. So
you find the why, you go through all that before you even get into the financial inventory because it gives you your ammo. Is that right?
That's right.
And then how long does the financial inventory typically take you?
I don't know, maybe like 10 minutes or so.
Do you fill it out completely or do you skip parts?
I fill that thing out completely because there is gold all over that. It has every single thing that you need. And I also ask, some additional questions that may not be on there. I'm asking them for their social. I'm asking them, how long that they have lived at whatever address that they're at, and, all of those things. But I ask them for all of those different things, and I just ask it so that I have everything that I need. Then by the time that we get to the applications, now we can maybe rapport build more and stuff like that. Cause I'm just filling out the application and, cause I have all of the info. I've already asked them all that stuff.
Nice. Okay. And let's talk a little bit about cementing a policy, because not a lot of people talk about this, but at the end of the in-home, what's your cementing process look to make sure that they don't cancel?
So I am doing a couple of different things. Number one, I am writing down everything on a credibility sheet. I'm writing down the exact dollar and cent breakdown because I usually bundle policies together so that they have the most value for whatever it is that we're talking about. I am giving them brochures. I am giving them free resources like doyourownwill.com and folders, my business card, and I'm asking them, is there any reason that you can think of that if I am able to get you approved, because I don't tell people in the home that they get approved, I let them know, 1 to 2 business days afterwards, have my assistant call them and do that. I'm asking them, is there any reason if I can get you approved that you would not want to keep your policy? So, and if I have to, now adjust things, then we got to adjust things, but ultimately.
Good to know that up front, though, instead of letting them sleep on it when they weren't really committed to it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay. So to wrap things up, and if you had to give one last message to Family First Life and anyone watching, what would your message be to help inspire them or help give them a tactical trick, tip, etc., anything to help get them into action? Because, having the knowledge on ice is worthless, but going into action is what's important. So any last words for Family First Life to get them into action?
The biggest thing that I would say is remember why it is that you wanted to get started in the first place. Remember why this is important to you. Like if if it's making sure that your family has an opportunity to have a different life that they never would have had before, if it's because you were never able to be given such an opportunity, whatever it is, you have to really remember why this is important to you beyond I have this money coming into my bank account, because
Awesome.
it's not always going to be, this is not an easy business. This is just a simple business, but you have to make sure that you know why you're doing it. Otherwise, you're not going to want to continue.
And last question, what's your personal goal, issue paid by the end of calendar year? What are you looking to do?
$550,000.
550,000. All right. Well, Family First Life, appreciate you guys tuning in today. Top producers work the weekends, and so take what Genevieve said and apply that and go to work. Appreciate all of you guys, and let's make it a great rest of the month.